Hello everyone, Miss Signin here again. We are going to be cooking up some roasted butternut squash today, and I'll be demonstrating that using some spices like cinnamon to add some flavoring as well. So let's get started. So the first thing we're going to get started doing is to make sure we've rinsed off our butternut squash. Again, that's just to make sure that any dirt was on there isn't going to get on the part that we're going to eventually eat. The next part is to use a peeler to start peeling our butternut squash. Remember, just like we discussed last time, we want to be peeling away from us. And that's to eliminate, again, any risk of us getting cut. Next, we are going to be cutting off the top and the bottom of our squash. Then we'll be cutting in half. You want to really watch your fingers here. Just go really careful. There we go. Now the next part we need to do is to scoop out the seeds. You can just use a regular spoon to scoop those out. I'll start showing how to do this one, but it's a lot easier if you actually do this right over a trash can. That way it goes straight in there. Easy cleanup. But again, you can just see I'm kind of scraping that inside to get the goo. Really scientific word there for it. And our seeds out of there. Similar concept to carving a pumpkin. And that's it. Super easy. So I'm gonna go do the other one in the trash can. All right, our next step is that we are going to take our halved butternut squash and we are going to cube it so that all the pieces are roughly the same size. It's going to be difficult somewhat to get the exact same shape, but as long as we have the same size, they should all cook very evenly. So I'm going to start by cutting it in half. Again, trying to watch my fingers. Maybe needing to apply some pressure. If you're like me, a little weak, apply some pressure there on the top there. Set that piece aside. Once again, let's start over here. So now we have some flatter pieces and we'll begin chopping. I'm going to keep mine slightly larger. I want them to have a little bit of a meatier texture here. That does mean that it's going to take a little bit longer for mine to cook, which is okay. I'm planning roughly about 30 to 40 minutes that it's going to take my pieces to cook or roast. Now, if you want yours to be done a little sooner, you can always chop them into finer pieces. And I'll finish doing that, and then we'll get started with some of the seasonings. And there you can see we have some irregular shapes, but roughly they are about all the same size. So in doing that, again, we're hoping that they cook very evenly. Our next step is to start adding some of the flavorings in. So to give it some extra sweetness, I'm going to be adding in about 1.5 tablespoons of brown sugar. And I'm more or less just estimating it. So there's another little bit of half there. I can add a little bit more eventually if I want it to be sweeter. I'm gonna add just about a half and maybe a little bit more of a teaspoon of cinnamon. So there's my half. And a little bit more because I like cinnamon a lot. There we go. We'll add some salt and pepper to taste. And lastly, we need to add some olive oil. And I'm going to add about 2 tablespoons of olive oil into the mix. And then we'll mix that all together. We'll put it on our baking sheet. And we're going to put it in an oven that is preheated to 425 degrees for roughly 30 to 40 minutes. Now what I plan on doing is checking it at about 15 minutes, seeing where it's at, stirring it up a little bit to make sure that nothing burns on one side and that we get caramelization more evenly on a few different sides. So I'll mix it up, put it back in about halfway through, and then we'll see how long it takes.